We're on a roll. Then, back-to-back power play goals for Coker. This one gives number 4 his second hat trick of the year and gives the Sockers a 5-0 lead. The Wings finally did beat Jim Gorsuch, but Segoda's 50th of the year is icing on the cake as San Diego romps to a 6-2 win over Wichita. Hello again, everyone. I'm Randy Hahn, reporting tonight from the Met Center in Bloomington, Minnesota, just outside Minneapolis. With that victory Saturday, the Sockers clinched first place overall in the MISL, and that means home field advantage all the way through the playoffs. So you say, with 7 games left, what do they have to play for? Well, one of the things they would like to do is beat at least every team at least once in the league this year. They haven't beaten the Minnesota Strikers in 2 tries, and they hope to do so tonight. We're glad you're with us. Chuck Fritch and Sockers coach Ron Newman are standing by, and they'll join us next here on TV 69.
Be the Sockers' last game of the regular season. As a thank you to all of San Diego for your support throughout the season, it will also be Fan Appreciation Night.
Of course, congratulate the San Diego Sockers for wrapping up the home field advantage throughout the upcoming playoffs.
Thank you, Chuck. It's well worth it.
I know the goal of getting that home field advantage very, very important for you guys.
Yeah, well, we fought for that every year. We've never got it as early as this. I'm a little concerned that we've done it this early because now we've got to find a way to motivate ourselves for the rest of the year.
Well, the West, of course, has already been wrapped up. That's not nearly the case in the Eastern Division because you can cover 4 teams right now with a postage stamp. That's just how close 4 teams are. When all is said and done, who's going to win the Eastern Division?
Well, Cleveland, I think, is probably the best team. I think I'd like to see Dallas sneak through and win it. I think it'd be great for that franchise. A good soccer city, that. And it might turn them on to the game. And but really, I guess it's just who gets the best bounce of the ball. It's so close.
Minnesota tonight, a team you have not beaten this year. They've turned the tide on you twice so far during the course of the season. Do they have matchups that cause you problems?
I think they play a very good defensive game, and they've come into our arena and sort of done that and thwarted us and caught us at bad times, both times. But they deserve to win, so they may be a team that's maybe a sort of a bogey team. They've beaten us twice this year. The only other team that beat us twice is Los Angeles, and look where they are. So, but I don't think we want to go through the season this year if we win a championship and think there's one team that we were unable to beat. So we should have plenty of motivation for tonight's game.
Ron, as usual, best of luck. Thanks for the visit.
Thank you very much.
Head coach Ron Newman of the Sockers. It's the Sockers and the Minnesota Strikers coming up next. And we'll be back with the opening kickoff right after these words.
Just outside Minneapolis. I'm Randy Hahn along with Chuck Fritch. We are live on TV 69 and about to kick off this 3rd and final regular season meeting between these 2 teams. And the Sockers trailed the season series 2-0. And this, if they lost tonight, would be the only team that they would have been unable to beat this year in the MISL. And Chuck, it, as you mentioned with Ron Newman, seems that the Strikers match up very well with the Sockers.
Well, they do, Randy, and as you pointed out today, this, of course, an old NASL team. Most of these players know the Sockers very well. This used to be the old Fort Lauderdale Striker team of the NASL days, and just a very good rivalry and a lot more skill involved in teams from the NASL, and I think that's why they probably handle the Sockers so well.
San Diego defending the goal to our right. They move right to left across your screen, and from midfield, Gene Wilrich puts a ball into the seats. And there's a look at Hugo Perez, and there's a look at Wilrich. 2 of the people that the Sockers have depended on a lot this season. Wilrich, of course, the only remaining original member from the 1979 team of the San Diego Sockers. And he's played this franchise, which, as you mentioned, was originally Fort Lauderdale, many times. This is Ken Fogarty, another long-time performer in American soccer. Playing it to Dwight Lotovegas. Lotovegas, one of the better defenders around, up to Alan Willie, the Strikers' leading scorer. He'll drop it for David Byrne, who we weren't sure would play tonight. Gets a shot off that Zoli Toth goes down low to make a save on. Toth making his 3rd appearance this year against Minnesota. Zoli's got something to play for. He's been in the net. Both times the Sockers have been defeated by Minnesota, and both those games were at the San Diego Sports Arena. Wilrich trying to make a steal at the line. Lotovegas goes down. Gene will get it out to Julie V and back for Kevin Crow. This is Gary Collier. Ahead for Perez. Hugo to Wilrich tries to give and go, and they will call a foul against Minnesota. A look down the San Diego bench from Ron Newman's perspective. There's Fogarty, and he and Newman go back some time in Fort Lauderdale when, of course, Ron Newman was a head coach of the Strikers. This is Gene Wilrich on the kick in to midfield, knocked down by Stan Cummins. Byrne playing it back to Lota Vegas. No score. We're live here in the first period in Minnesota. Kevin Crowe clearing it back to Toth. Zoli coming in with one of the best goals against averages in the league, 4.11. He is 15-7 on the year, the 4th best goalkeeper in the league. Down at the other end, Tino Lettieri and his famous parrot power, trying to get the Strikers into the playoffs. They're in a good position now, but as you saw in the opening, the East is so wide open that it's really hard to say who's in and who's out.
It's really going to be interesting, Randy, to see how the Sockers respond tonight in the absence of Branko Segota. Branko, of course, with 90 points this year. He is sitting out tonight's game, a 1-game suspension for accumulating 30 penalty minutes. So the Sockers will have to make up the slack somewhere, but they do possess enough firepower to be able to withstand a game without the likes of a Branko Segota.
Toth has to go up high to grab a shot that came from way down at the other end by Tasso Koutsoukas. And now Crowe will play it to the right side of defense for Chacha Namdar as the Sockers change on the run. Namdar ahead for Brian Quinn. Taking it off the wall. Quinn being marked carefully by Greg Thompson. Back to the point for Clavillo and on for Katakalides. This one's intercepted by Thompson. Trying to get it up for Goossens. He takes a dive along the wall. At least it looked like a dive from here, but they give the foul. First against the Sockers. Here's Thompson Usean. Fine player. Shot off the wall and then off Toth. And it came wide. And Usean, let's go with a right foot rocket. He came out of a midfield position this year, actually from a forward position into midfield. And he has responded very well from that standpoint of changing positions. And he's the second leading scorer on this team behind Willie.
Well, he's certainly one of the most elusive and quickest players in the MISL, Randy. He's a good one. You see him.
This is Tino Lettieri, 9th best in the league goals against wise, 4.45, 20-13 on the year. And Tino holds one other rather notable distinction. He is the most penalized player in the league this year with 35 penalty minutes. He's already missed 2 games due to penalty time suspensions this year, and it doesn't make the Strikers too happy. We'll talk about that some more. Here's Fogarty up to the San Diego line, sends it over to Byrne. His shot blocked by Kaz Dana. Dana making a rare appearance here on this road trip. Comes back into the corner for Byrne, and the header by Stan Cummins out of play for goal kick San Diego. And that one was right where a striker would want it. A look at Zoltan Toth, as much of the action in these first opening minutes has been down in his end. Sockers goalkeepers have a chance at setting an MISL record for the lowest combined goals against average ever in the history of the MISL. Coming into this game this evening, Sockers with a combined goals against average of 3.97. And the league record is 3.96. That's Alan Merrick, head coach of the Strikers, in a real dogfight right now in the East. 3rd place, but just a half game out of 1st. And only a game and a half out of missing the playoffs. Gives you an idea of the logjam in the East. And as Merrick says, it may come down to the last game of the year. Said in the paper today, not only will this one be a photo finish, it may take a couple of rolls of film.
Well, it really is going to be that close in the East, Randy, because we mentioned 4 teams just separated by a half a game. And no one has really been showing any signs of wanting to pull away. So I really would think it's going to go down to probably the last weekend or last group of games.
This is Wilrich across the line, being marked carefully by David Byrne and Cummins. You see how small Cummins is as Wilrich goes into the corner, punches it out, looking for either Coker or Dana in front. It'll come around to Alan Willie, and he'll clear it back toward his own goal. Coker with a steal. Gets it to Wilrich, takes a shot at the whistle. And they're going to give a penalty to Wilrich now for shooting after the whistle. And the Sockers captain walks over to talk to the referee. And it looks like Gene's going to go away for 2 minutes. That's Kevin Crowley, the official. Gino DiPolito is the other on-the-field official. And we're still waiting to see what the call is. but he indicated that it may be for unsportsmanlike conduct. Now, the Sockers have already set an MISL record this season for the most penalties killed, 95. The old record was 86. That penalty now gives them 145 penalties this year for 293 minutes, and they are just 2 penalties away from an MISL record for penalties. Delay of game called to Wilrich, and that's the equivalent of unsportsmanlike conduct in that situation, where Wilrich kicked the ball after the whistle, took the shot. So Gene goes off for 2. The Sockers' best penalty killing unit in the league goes to work. It'll be Quinn, Namdar, Clavillo, and Crow. From the start, a shot. Toth with a big rebound, but they clear it. That was Katsoukas with the shot, and now it'll come to the near boards. Namdar after it, and it's kicked out of play by the Strikers. Their power play, 35% effective this season, and overall in the league, that is 4th best. Sockers' power play has improved. Hopefully later on they'll get a chance to improve on it a little bit more. Right now they do have the best penalty killing unit, 75.4%. This is Katsoukas, who came over from Kansas City in the trade for John Bain. Now here's Katsoukas out with Bain, Goosens, Willie, and Chris Dangerfield. Dangerfield, the power play goal leader, coming into today's action for Minnesota. Out in front, and Crow will clear it back to Zoltan Toth. Dangerfield with 7, or make that 9 power play goals. Kevin Crow in his own zone, lost it to Willie. Over to Dangerfield, and Clavillo got a foot on it. It'll go into the corner. Julie V out on the field for some offense. Will clear it back to Zoli Toth.
Well, you don't see Kevin lose the ball in his own zone like that very often, but that time he did give it up, and boy, you normally get burned when you give it up.
Quinn is fouled by Tasso Katsoukas with 55 seconds left in the power play, and Clavillo over to argue that a penalty should have been given. We haven't seen a lot of Kevin Crowley this year, officiating wise. Clavillo from in his own zone over 3 lines, and that will come back. The 3-line rule, by the way, if you're a newcomer to MISL action, the ball cannot go through the air over the 2 red lines and the center line. It must hit either the carpet, another player, or the wall, but it's the equivalent of icing in hockey. Alan Willie in the left corner of the San Diego zone. Still no score. The Strikers still on the power play. Goosens into the corner for Dangerfield. Alan Willie roaming inside the San Diego penalty area as the Strikers work it around. Goosens' shot blocked by Crow. Dangerfield back for Goosens, and he'll drive one off Clavillo. On the rebound, it's Cummins. Back for Katsoukas. 20 seconds left. He'll drive one in, or did it go in? Looked like it came back out.
Well, the red light is definitely on, signaling goal, but Zoli Toth along with Clavillo and Quinn and now V all arguing with Gino DiPolito. The big booming right shot, the right-footed shot by Katsoukas, partially stopped by Zoli.
It came down. It looks like it came down behind the line. And then out.
Well, the Sockers are going to lose this argument, that's for sure.
It is a goal. And a power play goal at that. It came with only 17 seconds left in the Striker power play. And Katsoukas will get credit. So for Tasso Katsoukas, give him goal number 15 on the year on the power play. And it's a 1-0 Striker lead with 8:42 left in this opening period. Sockers still arguing with DiPolito as we await the kickoff. Tonight's game, as well as being televised live here on TV 69, also being carried here in Minnesota on WCCO's cable system in the Twin Cities area. Here's Wilrich in midfield to his left. Clavillo will play it up the wing for Hugo Perez. Perez goes down the wing, being watched too closely, according to the officials. The foul will go against the Strikers' Mike Jeffries. .6:18 Time of the power play goal for Minnesota. And a save by Lettieri. Tino, the Canadian national team starting goalkeeper at the World Cup coming up in Mexico. Lodovegas a shot, and he scored. And he scored that one from way out with his left foot. And Zoli just misplayed it. That's all there was to that one.
No doubt about it. That time, Zoli was just out talking to defender Gary Collier about, hey, nobody picked up Lodovegas coming down on the wing. But really, the shot was out there, and it should have been a pretty easy shot for Zoli to stop, although it did take off on him a little bit, a lot like the goal by Koutsoukis. Left-footed shot from way outside in the left wing, and Zoli just not able to handle it. And a quick 2-0 lead now for the Strikers.
Brian Quinn across his own line, sends it ahead for Hugo Perez. He'll try and control it along the near boards. Perez had 4 goals in a game here last year. Plays it in front for Quinn. Here's Collier on the rebound. He stabs one up into the seats. And now we get an official's timeout. And we, too, will pause here on TV 69. Soccer's in some early trouble here at the Met Center. 2-0 Minnesota. Soccer scene for quite some time. You'll remember him from places like Golden Bay and the New York Arrows. Usian got the assist on the goal by Lodovegas, but he virtually did it himself from the standpoint of a good shot. Here's Lettieri. Long ball played up for Usian, headed down. Quinn after it. Goes into a slide, and now Collier will play it back for Hugo Perez. Perez to midfield. He will miss Saturday's game against Baltimore. That time he misplayed the ball. Here's Usian. Crow and Collier are back, and he'll hit it off the post. And it comes back to Toth. Well-placed shot by Usian, but just missing by enough. And the Sockers are not looking too sharp defensively in this first period.
No, they're really not, Randy. They're giving the ball up in the midfield. They're giving it up in their own zone, and they're just not getting back to defend. And Zoli Toth all of a sudden is coming a little bit unraveled, giving up 2 easy goals by the Strikers.
Here's Cummins. Up the left side for Etherington. Nice ball. Had to change his direction to get it. And now a foul called against Etherington, kicking Collier away from the play just after he played the ball back toward the red line. That's the 4th Minnesota foul. So they're 2 away from the penalty. Quinn right up there in penalty minutes for the Sockers, along with Segota. Quinn already served his suspension. And that was for his 30th penalty minute. Quinn at 32 now on the year.
We are privileged to have the 2 most penalized players in this league tonight, in this game tonight, in the goalkeeper Lettieri, and for the Sockers, of course, Brian Quinn right behind Tino with 32 minutes.
And if it weren't for the fact that he was out because of having so many penalties, we'd have 3 here with Segota.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
3-line ball played by the Sockers. You see how that comes back to the other team's red line on the restart. Koutsoukis standing over the ball for Minnesota. Dana back to the left for Lodovegas. I'll make that Ladouceur. Now Lodovegas back, clearing it to Lettieri. 5:40 to go in this first period. Sockers trying to beat Minnesota. It has been a nemesis for them here, especially here. Here's Koutsoukis. And now a steal for Wilrich in his own zone, but a whistle. Foul against Minnesota. They're now at the limit. Here's Ladouceur over to Dana. Tries to play it back to Ladouceur, and nothing doing there. It was blocked away by Greg Thompson.
Now Cassie pulled the trigger that time, tried to add a little bit too much finesse, and Thompson there to strip it away from Cass.
Here's Willie. And a foul called against Ladouceur, and that's San Diego's 3rd. On the restart, Ken Fogarty on the wing. Willie left it. Byrne plays it back, and Cummins will send it into the seats. And the Sockers will get this back on a goal kick. Sockers do have some things to shoot for here, Chuck, despite the fact they've wrapped up the regular season title and first place in the division. They're going after a number of records, rather important ones, I would think, like the most goals scored in a season. They hold the record with the New York Arrows right now of 302, and they're on a pace to break it. They have to average about 6.5 goals a game, so they've got a way to go tonight. Also going for, as you look at Alan Merrick, going for the lowest goals allowed this season, which we already mentioned. And then there's dubious records that they're picking up for penalties incurred. But at the same time, they're also getting records for penalties against killed off. So while they've given up a lot of penalties, they've killed off those situations very well. This is Addy Coker coming off a hat trick on Saturday night at home against Wichita.
Randy, you talked also about a lot of the records the Sockers are going for. I just don't think Ron Newman will allow this team to get complacent over the last 7 games. For one reason, the Sockers in their final 7 games of the regular season play 6 of those games against teams with playoff aspirations. And they're going to be gunning for the Sockers, these teams, because a win over San Diego is as good as a win over anybody else right now when you're fighting for a playoff spot.
Catacalit is playing it up for Addy Coker, one-on-one with Fogarty. Addy, nice ball back out through for Wilrich to Julie, and he scores. Nice goal for Julie V. And Coker does some nice work along the boards against a tough opponent, Ken Fogarty.
Well, the 3 old pros, they have hooked up so many times in the past. Coker, you will see Addy Coker, and really does do a fine job of working hard on the boards, and then dishes it back outside to the point to Cheesy, left-footed over to Jean, or I should say to Julie V, and goes to the far post and beats Tino for the goal. 2-1 now. So the Sockers get back in it as you look at it from the other angle. Nicely placed into the corner, and that is where Lettieri's height works against him, I think, in situations like that. Not so much indoors as outdoors. But he is no giant, Tino Lettieri, at least in physical stature. He does hold many of the Strikers' goalkeeping records over the years. Here's Yusian. He'll play it off the wall, but Toth will get to it first. Yusian then ran into Zoli and then throws himself into the boards. I can't believe some of the acting jobs we continue to see. Now a nice ball played up for Yusian by Greg Thompson, and he'll drive it high and into the seats. And that comes down as a goal kick for Zoli. It's a shame these type of players have to do it, because Yusian is so good without doing that garbage of throwing yourself into the boards and taking the dives. We saw that Saturday night at home against Wichita with Eric Rasmussen, the second leading scorer in the league, or the #1, I should say, going into today's action. Yet he continues to dive and try and influence the officiating with his acting. And up to this point, they still buy it, at least some of the officials. Only a matter of time, though, before the league catches on to his act. Well, I really believe that that does lessen a guy's reputation, like a Thompson Yusian, and other guys, as you pointed out, do it. And I also think it really hurts the credibility of the league, having guys out there doing the swan dives. The problem with it is that it works, and if it continues to work, people will do it. And players on this team, the San Diego team, have done it in the past and continue to do it from time to time too, so we're not excluded from the share of acting that goes around. Well, look at the fouls in the quarter. The Strikers still at the limit. 2:43 left in the period. Juan Hermes, a nice steal off the foot of Alan Willie as it comes back to Zoltan Toth. 2-1 the score. V from Wilrich on the last goal. Julie's 22nd of the year to go along with his number. Time of that one at 11:01. Here's Crow in front trying to find Hugo Perez. Cummins is there. He'll work it up for Etherington, but Quinn will keep it near the red line. Now the Sockers try and get set up. Crow will come off. Quinn ahead for Perez. Hugo scores! That's how quickly the Sockers can tie it, and they just have, as Perez beats Tino Lowe this time. Quinney will dish it right to the penalty area, and that's exactly where Hugo Perez is posted up on Alan Willie. Makes the quick turn on Willie. He goes to the far post past Lettieri, who has no chance, and it's 2-2. Quinney again. You will see right to Hugo Perez posting up just on the top of the penalty area. Willie too late to get there, and again Hugo goes to the far post, and Lettieri not able to respond. Goal number 40 for Hugo Perez to tie this game at 2. 2:05 left in the first period. Lettieri knocking a ball in for Yusian off his head. Going down the wing is Jan Goossens. Collier gets there first. Clavillo with it, trying to work it up to the boards. Collier bumped along the wall. Fans wanted a foul. Here's Wilrich.
fighting with Goossens, who's marking him. Gene's still on the ball, and Goossens will knock it loose. Up the wing, intercepted by Collier. Over to Cha-Cha Namdar, and the Sockers now starting to look alive. Takes a while to wake them up on the road sometimes.
It really does, Randy, because they're playing 5:30 in the afternoon.
Nice ball by Perez, then the shot by Clavillo. Sorry to interrupt there, Chuck, but Perez with a lovely effort that time. Now you see him fighting off Gary Collier the other way. Look at them. They've got 4 men on Usean. Finally, he plays it back. Now a race for a 50-50 ball. Lotovegas beating Namdar. Out of the corner and in front for Usean, but that hits Collier. And over to Zoltan Toth with a minute left in the period. So Perez seems to be catching fire here. Give and go with Dana, but the pass by Kazi too far. Lettieri gets a piece of it. Crow will knock it back in for Kaz. Drops it for Wilrich with 45 to go in the period. He'll let a long one go that just missed. Tino gets a piece of it. Gene kept it low enough to be on goal. Perez now through for Dana. Kazi pushing it to the left. Perez after it with Fogarty there too. They freeze it, and then it comes loose to Fogarty, and he'll clear it back for Lettieri. This is David Byrne in his first year in the MISL. Back for Dwight Lotovegas. 15 seconds left. He'll send it in for Byrne. Off the wall, and a chance for Willie with time ticking down to 7 seconds. But he'll send it into the seats for a goal kick for Zoltan Toth.
Where that bouncing ball so hard to control right there in the penalty area. Most times you'll see it'll go up into the cheap seats, and again that time as you get under the ball, it's hard to time it as it's coming down, and try to time it perfectly as the ball hits the ground and your foot at the same time. And some guys have a knack for doing it. It's a very difficult ball to control.
Solely on the goal kick up for Quinn. He got a touch on the ball, but it's cleared back to Lettieri. And that will do it for the opening period of play. So the Sockers get into some early trouble, but come right back. And after a period on the McDonald's scoreboard, it's the Sockers 2 and the Minnesota Strikers 2 here on TV 69. Lotovegas scored. That way, by the way, by Koutsoukis was a power play goal. Then Lotovegas scored to make it 2-0, and the Sockers came back with a pair. Well, the next time your group or club comes to the arena to see the Sockers, why not travel in style by riding on the Subbies Soccer Express? Subbies English double-decker bus leaves 1 hour prior to game time from Subbies Pizza, located at 1410 Broadway in Chula Vista. Have your party at Subbies. Then travel in style to the Sockers game. For reservations, call the Nasher at 422-9310. Sofian Perez scoring for San Diego in that first period. For Julie, his 22nd. And for Perez, his 40th. And he has had a fabulous year for San Diego here in 1985-86. Perez recently 7 goals, 5 assists, 12 points in his last 6 games. And we've still got 3/4 of this one to go. 2-2 our score. Teams have switched ends. The Strikers in the white jerseys with possession. Thompson, you see him banking one through the crease, or through the penalty area, rather. And now Clavillo chases it down to the near side. Ahead for Addy Coker. Addy with a nice play. Didn't get an assist on the goal by Veep, but did a lot to set it up. Wilrich, who did get the assist, trying to go wide around Koutsoukis. Gene stays with it. Now he'll play it out for Wad Hermes. Over to Namdar. Cha-Cha gets a touch pass from Wilrich. Back through for Addy Coker. Kicked away by Thompson. Wilrich on the ball, and that rolls off his foot. And the Strikers get it back. Not a big crowd here in the Met Center tonight. Likely one of the smallest the Strikers have had all year. And you wonder why, with the #1 team in the league in town and the Strikers in a real playoff battle. We have a whistle and a foul, Minnesota. Strikers were fortunate in that first period. As I think back, they were at 5 fouls for about 6 or 7 minutes. And did not pick up the penalty. Here's Wilrich. It hits Lotovegas, but Coker gets it free. Addy weaves his way out of trouble. Now gets some support. Plays it back for Wilrich. Up the wing for Crow. Kevin sending it through for V, trying to knock it back for Addy Coker, and this will be intercepted. Thompson, you see it. Across the line. This is Willie out of the corner, banking it off the high glass. Toth snatching it out of the air and laying it down for V. Now the Sockers switch on the run as Quinn comes on for a tiring Gene Wilrich. Crow will hold it in midfield and wait for the completion of the line change. Quinn losing it to Fogarty. Now it's cleared back to Tino Lettieri. A couple of tough shots for Lettieri on the 2 San Diego goals. The first one by V, perfectly placed in the upper right-hand corner. And then the shot by Perez on his strong side, the left foot, low to Tino's left side. Here's Lodovegas. Stan Cummins. Cummins in his first year coming out of England, where he was certainly an experienced outdoor player. Lodovegas. Cummins through for Byrne, turns it around. Willie with a chance. Good save by Toth. Got there right as Willie let loose with the right foot shot. Here's V coming back the other way on the counterattack. A pad pass intercepted by Lodovegas. And the Strikers will put pressure right back on the Sockers. But Toth, with his first big save of the night, comes here early in the second period with the score tied at 2. Goossens with his back to the goal. Now he'll head toward the net. V from behind, and Goossens shot saved by Toth. Rebound. Byrne will try and work it in front. He'll have to beat Crow. Can't. Plays it out to the point for Lodovegas. Goossens, leading scorer for Minnesota last year, and he's had a disappointing year this time around. Here's Koutsoukas. Nice play by Ladouceur in the box, and they rule foul Koutsoukas. I don't know if I quite understand that one. He perhaps was pushing off Ladouceur when he went up for the bicycle kick. Nonetheless, it's restart for San Diego.
This quarter, Zoli comes up, this time with Willie right there on the doorstep. And Zoli, I tell you, with your goaltender, you got to like contact because you're going to get it. And that time, Willie right in Zoltan's face. And Toth able to come up with the first of 2 big saves in that particular flurry.
Doesn't hurt to be 6'3" on a play like that, too.
No, it doesn't hurt to be that big.
That's how tall Toth is, and he got all the way across the front of the goal. Here's Usian. As the Strikers give it away to Perez. Hugo in on goal, and it's kicked off the line by Etherington. Too bad for Hugo. That's on his right foot, left foot, and it's all over. Nice play nonetheless just to beat the goalie, but Etherington saves it for Tino Lettieri. Here's Koutsoukas. Playing it to an open wing. Goossens comes onto the ball. Perez knocking it free, and then Crow kicking it out of play. And it'll come out of the seats. Back down for kick in Minnesota. Well, you don't get any better chances than that one right there for Hugo Perez, and he's smiling.
He knows about it, too, but you got to give Gary Etherington some credit, too, for understanding the situation and seeing that Lettieri was pulled out. Ball stolen away here by Hugo, and all of a sudden he and Lettieri one-on-one, but then Etherington, as you see him right in the screen there, able to back up and kick it out with his right foot.
Perez with 7 career goals against this team after the one in the first period. Strikers on the ball as we're back to the live action. This is Tasso Koutsoukas with one of the 2 Minnesota goals tonight. And now he has 2.
Boy, Tasso really cranking up the big right foot tonight.
Nice shot. Tough one for Toth. That one hit the post and went in.
Koutsoukas again booms it from the point. Ball sails away, goes to the right post, and Toth with no chance.
Koutsoukas coming over from Kansas City in the trade for Bain. They were down on him in KC, saying he's out of shape.
Come on.
His right foot looks like it's in pretty good shape. Gets his 2nd goal of the night. 16th of the year. And now it's 3-2 Minnesota as they reassume the lead. This is Greg Thompson. And he'll kick one out of play, and this will come back San Diego ball on the restart. 4:28, time of the goal by Koutsoukas. First goal of this second period.
Boy, you just had a feeling Minnesota was going to score first as they were really putting the pressure on the Sockers defense, and Toth had made some big saves early on in the quarter, but again they just hung tough, and Koutsoukis coming up with a big right foot.
An unassisted goal for Koutsoukis, his second of the game, 16th of the year. Here's Wilrich as the Sockers try and get the situation back in hand. They trailed by 2 early on. Here's Perez with a left foot shot, and that one got away from Hugo for goal kick, Minnesota. Hugo will be our halftime guest, chatting with Chuck Fritsch just before tonight's action. He's had a fine season. Has a word with Ron Newman over on the bench. Goodness knows they've had their battles in the past, Newman and Perez. Remember 2 years ago, Hugo kicked Ron?
I certainly do remember that. Yeah, that was really something that time. They've had their arguments over the years, but Hugo has turned into an outstanding indoor soccer player.
They now change it and give an assist to Greg Thompson on the goal by Koutsoukis. 3-2 Minnesota. And the Sockers close it off defensively now in their own end. Toth will play it back up for Fernando Clavillo. Nice little battle within the team going on defense between Clavillo and Crow, both with 18 points. Great stats for defenders. And they're both hoping to beat the other, I'm sure. A steal by Juan Hermes as Burns slipped on the carpet. This is a 3-on-1. Hermes with V. Over to Wilrich. Tino got in there, and so does Stan Cummins.
Well, Lettieri did a great job as he is looking at a 3-on-1 situation, and Cheesy not able to. He was really trying to pull the trigger that time and get it over to Julie on the left wing, but Lettieri able to come out and take away the angle and make a good play.
Hermes may have waited just a fraction too long to pass off to Gene. I'm sure he was looking Wilrich back over to V for the goal. That's the way the Sockers think. Here's Fogarty. Oh, ahead for Goosens. Back for Fogarty and on to Dwight Lodovegas. 8:40 left in this second period here in Minnesota. Lodovegas looking for Goosens on the doorstep. Goes all the way through to Zoli and up for Brian Quinn. This is Perez. Gets it out of trouble to Namdar. Cha-Cha. Waits for Collier to come on, then plays it to the right for Kevin Crow. Perez laying it off for Gary Collier. Doesn't have a chance to go down the left lane. Knocks it back to Crow at midfield. Kevin sending it forward for Perez. Knocked out of the air by Koutsoukis. He'll chest it down, and he's looking good out there tonight for Minnesota. You see him trying to play it on to the streaking Gary Etherington. Played it behind him, though. Broke up a chance down that side. Now they'll work the left wing to Goosens. Now over to Koutsoukis. Collier, good job marking, forcing Koutsoukis back to the line and into midfield for Etherington. 3-2 Minnesota, 7:40 left to go in the second period. This game moving along at a quick pace. We've had only 2 fouls in the second period. Cummins ahead for Usean. Nice turn. Quinn comes out of midfield, and a foul should go against Usean, and they'll give it against Quinn. It looked to me like Usean stuck his leg out as Quinn was trying to reach the ball. I think Ron Newman probably would agree with me on that one.
Definitely that time it looked like Usean did get his leg in there, but Gino DiPolito says no.
Goosens with the big right foot shot, but it's so predictable. Soccer's able to block it. And now Quinn will flick it back for Zoltan Toe. Here's Perez. Up the wing for Dana. Kazi and Koutsoukis back. One-on-one. Dana played it into open space. Thought he saw Perez there, but Hugo darted to the middle just as the ball was played. Crow recovers, however, sends it ahead for Quinn. Nice flick on for Perez. Goes up high with the left foot. How would he know that Etherington was coming in? I don't know, but they give him a dangerous foul anyway. Dangerous kick. Hugo on his best season ever. According to our stats, Perez with 40 goals. You see there 37. He's playing his 38th game, so some confusion there, but Perez does have 40 goals. Here's Byrne to Willie. Front of the box, that's knocked away. And now here's Quinn coming back the other way. 3-2 Minnesota. Sockers trailed 2-0 very early on in this game. Katakalitis trying to beat David Byrne. Tino will kick it out of play. No, it hits the lip and drops back in. Here's Quinn. In front for Dana. Off his foot. Fogarty knocks it high in the air. Goes past Clavillo. Now Willie trying to get it in for Byrne, but Clavillo back. Goes to the corner, and he's fouled. Third foul against Minnesota of the period. Here's Quinn with Dana and Perez. Bryan trying to send it in front for Kazi. Lays it off. Shot by Clavillo, but after a whistle, and a foul went against Quinn in front of the Minnesota net. So the teams at 3 fouls each. And we get an official's 1-minute timeout. And we too will pause here on TV 69 in the second period. Left-footed, but he's very good with his left foot. Fouls, at least at this point, not a factor. Don't really become a factor until the fourth. Then people start watching that foul clock. Here's Lodovegas. Head for Thompson, you see him. Goosens. Backward, Bruce Miller making his first appearance. Hermes will get it back for San Diego. Ahead to Addy Coker, but he didn't expect Lodovegas to do that, I would think. He didn't respect Lodovegas quite enough right there. One of the best slide tacklers anywhere, Dwight Lodovegas. Here's Clavillo. Back at the red line, up the right side for Coker. Takes a bad bounce for Addy. Woolridge coming in late trying to get it away, but Byrne makes a nice move to keep it for Minnesota.
Well, the Strikers have really had control of this ball throughout the first half, and that's probably why they're ahead right now. They're working very hard on those 50-50 balls and playing very well offensively right now. That's probably why they got the lead, working a little bit harder than the Sockers.
Well, as Alan Willie says, when we play San Diego, everything seems to come into focus. And they've won both those games against the Sockers this year at the Sports Arena. And we're talking about a Sockers team going for the best ever home record in the MISL. And 2 of their 4 home losses were to the same team. Sockers also trying for the best record ever in the MISL from the win standpoint. If they were to win their final 7 in a row, they would finish the season with 38 wins and break by 1 game the record that they now hold of 37 wins in a season set last year. Here's Quinn. Julie B posted up in front. Etherington a good job kicking away, but Collier will work it back in for Quinn. Back over to V. Collier's in the corner. Quinn goes far post side. V trying to play it off the wall. It's kicked out of play by Stan Cummins. And it comes back in, kick in San Diego.
That man right there was a heck of a player with the old Minnesota Kicks in the NASL outdoors for several years. A couple of times made the all-star team in the NASL. Alan Merrick, very popular here in the Minnesota area. And doing a pretty good job. He's a head coach in his 2nd year.
Did a great job last season, didn't he? Getting the Strikers to the semifinals. In fact, the Sockers' last game here in this building was the last ever MISL shootout. Here's V with a header, and Lettieri makes a nice right-handed save. Julie will get the rebound. Quinn was moving into the slot. Julie didn't see him coming fast enough and takes a shot that Lettieri saves. That, of course, was the controversial game that Commissioner Frank Dale changed the next day, setting an all-time precedent in the history of sports by changing the outcome of a event the next day while we were flying back to San Diego. And that still stands up in my mind as one of the strangest and worst decisions in the history of sport, changing the outcome of something the next day.
Well, the Sockers got back to him a couple of days later in the Sports Arena, winning 7-0 in Game 5.
Here's Cummins. Nice ball ahead for Usian, and shoots it wide. Dana just got back, knocking Usian off his stride. Now Toth will try and send in Addy Coker to the Minnesota end. Comes back to Quinn. 2:18 left in the first half. 3-2 Minnesota. Woolridge and Perez have scored for San Diego. A chance for Coker. Quinn heads it back through for Dana. Kazi has a look, plays it through some legs for Coker. Fogarty clearing it back for Tino Lettieri. He'll fire it up for Thompson. You see it. Katakalitis last man back. You see him, gets a nice bounce off the wall. George kicking it away very neatly. And Dana will come back now with Quinn, Katakalitis, and Ladouceur. Kazi to the line for Quinn. Sockers without Bronco Segota tonight as Quinn plays it over to Ladouceur. He fakes the shot ahead for Dana. Tried to lay it off again to Ladouceur. The pass too hard. Dana had some trouble with it. The Strikers recover in front of their own goal. Back home is Brian Schmetzer, still bothered by an injured knee. Thought he might be ready to come back Saturday against Wichita, but just isn't quite there yet. Tim Bartrow, also back at home, didn't make the trip, along with Rafaele Ruotolo and Guy Newman. And Miguel Garcia, the third goalkeeper currently on the Sockers roster, all back in San Diego, along with the suspended Segota. Here's Calvillo as we approach the 1 minute remaining mark of this second period. Lodovega's heading it down to Koutsoukis. Fernando will steal it. Nice move at the line. Calvillo still on the ball, over to Namdar. Back for Woolridge. Gene with a minute to go in the period. Down the lane with Koutsoukis. Woolridge still on the ball. Into the corner for Calvillo. Lodovegas will go up, trying to clear it out. Calvillo pokes it over to Hermes. And a dangerous kick foul called against Calvillo. And that's the Sockers' fourth foul to match up with Minnesota's fourth. Speaking of fours, Calvillo has 4 shorthanded goals right now, tied with Daryl Duran of St. Louis. Said he'd like to win that one. Good bet.
I had mentioned that Thompson Usain might be one of the quickest players in the NISL earlier, but that man, Fernando Calvillo, may in fact be the quickest.
Foul San Diego. Now the Sockers at the limit with 40 seconds left. Time to be careful. Here's David Byrne back for Lodovegas. They'll try and keep it in midfield for a while to attract some Sockers. Crow will steal it. 27 seconds left. Chance here to tie it at the half. Crow still on the ball, over to Woolridge. Lodovegas again goes down, sacrificing skin on that AstroTurf carpet. They'll get it back to Lettieri. Time ticking down to 10 seconds as Byrne comes to midfield. Goossens heads for the net. Byrne in on Namdar. Still on the ball. And they won't get a shot. Oh, and they give the foul at the buzzer against San Diego. Will they give the penalty?
They may have dodged a bullet there, Randy. I think Gino's going to let it go.
So the Sockers go to the dressing room trailing by a goal, but it's better than earlier when they trailed by 2. And at the half, here on the McDonald's scoreboard at the Met Center, it's Minnesota 3 and the Sockers 2 here on TV 69.
Sockers' brilliant midfielder Hugo Perez, who is having the season of his life indoors for the San Diego Sockers. Explain yourself. Why are you having such a great year?
Well, I think I had enough time to prepare before the season began. I was playing outdoor, and I guess that helped me a little bit. So when I came to practice with the team, I was fit. So I think that's been one of the main reasons why I'm having a good year.
Okay, you come in now to this game tonight ranked 9th in the MISL in scoring. Did you have it set in your mind coming in this year, Hugo, that you were going to be a greater offensive force? Were you thinking more offense when you started the season?
Yeah, I was, because last year I only played half of the season, and I did think about it, when I came this year, and I said, well, I want to help the team a lot more, and I will try to play all the games. And up to now, I just missed 5 games because of my eye injury, but I feel I'm confident and that I help a little bit the team, and I'm very happy that I'm, the way the season has been for me right now.
Now, when Steve Jungle was sold to the Tacoma Stars, so I guess a couple of months ago, did that change your role or increase your role offensively once Steve was gone?
I guess it did for everybody, not just for me. And we felt that Steve was a good player. He was one of the best that played the indoor, but we felt that we had good players too. And the only thing we had to do was work a little bit harder. And I think that's what we're doing.
When you feel hot, when you're on a hot streak, or say Branko Segota or anybody else for that matter, really feels hot and feels like there's like a magnet between your foot and the ball in the back of the net. Do other guys realize that on the team? Do they know that Hugo Perez is hot and they'll look for you in certain situations?
I think you do. You look, everybody gets on streaks, defenders, forwards, midfielders. And I think when that's happening, other players realize that. And I think they give you a little bit more of the ball so you can do a little bit more for the team.
You are playing tonight, but Saturday night against Baltimore, you'll have to sit out in the sports arena because you accumulated your 20th penalty minute. I don't like the rule myself. I know Randy Hahn doesn't like it either. How do you feel about the rule?
I don't like the rule either, you know. It's just that I was talking before we came to the trip. I said to Ryan, why can't Branco and me miss this game and play against Baltimore, you know? And I guess the rule says that 2 players cannot miss a game. I don't think that's good because at least if you are going to miss a game, you can have a chance, you know, maybe to pay a fine or something, and you can play the next game. That's how I feel about it.
Well, we won't see you Saturday night, but of course we are seeing you tonight. Hugo, again, a brilliant season. Best of luck for the rest of the regular season and, of course, right on into the playoffs.
Thank you very much.
Sockers midfielder Hugo Perez. And it's halftime here once again at the Met Center. And we'll be back with more halftime activities right after these words.
Traveling all blue uniforms with gold lettering. Clavillo and Collier on defense. This is Fernando Clavillo. Ahead for Julie D. And he'll head it forward for Addy Coker. Back to Wilrich. Shot blocked. Gene going to the corner. Fogarty trying to knock it free. Still loose. Coker bicycle kick. Nice try. Here's Wilrich at the side. Tino out of the goal. Made a save off Wilrich. V goes far post, but Tino will grab this one out of the air as Wilrich tried to work it up high for Julie. Then the toss by Lettieri, too far for David Byrne. Good chance on that sequence for San Diego, and Coker's bicycle kick just missed.
Sockers will definitely have to create more opportunities here in the second half, Randy. I just don't think they'll win if they can only create 3 chances per half. Again, we had mentioned they were able to cash in on 2 out of the 3 opportunities they had in the first.
Clavillo to Coker, back to Fernando, and he just missed. What a great feed from Coker on a give and go, and Clavillo, perhaps no other player can make that play because he's so fast, and he just missed.
Well, you got to give him credit, number one, for being there, because, as you say, most guys just don't have the quickness and speed to be able to outrun a situation like that. Got there, just not able to connect on the great feed.
Still 3-2 Minnesota. Here's Ken Fogarty now, as the Sockers have asserted themselves early in the third period, but have been unable to capitalize. Here's Wilrich. Nice steal off Koutsoukis. He'll come up the right wing side with Coker. Gene still on the ball, and a shot that Lettieri scoops up like a Hoover. Up to Koutsoukis, and he'll give it away to Katakalitis. Here's Kevin Crowe. Feeds it up for Ladouceur. Quinn up there as well. Here's Jacques going into the corner with Greg Thompson. Plays it off the wall. Low to Vegas got to it. Jacques will get it back in the corner out to Quinn. Namdar also out with Katakalitis and Crowe on the ship. Here's Katakalitis. From the point, back across the line for Quinn. You can play that ball back and forth across the red line without it coming back onside. It's not an offside marker. Merely separates the midfield zone from the defensive zone. And, of course, is there for the 3-line violation. Tino now chipping one up the wing. This will bounce off the boards, back onto the field of play to Quinn. Now back down for Kaz Dana. Into the corner. Katakalitis bumps it off the wall. Drops down to Goossens. Now low to Vegas. To midfield for Thompson. You see it. Usean with an assist on the goal by Loda Vegas in the first period. Alan Willie with a streak going of sorts coming into this game. He has yet to pick up a point. He's on the ball right now with Kevin Crowe. Toth with a save, and it'll come out to Dana. And Captain Cassie has it for San Diego. Willie has a goal in 9 straight games and has a point in 16 of the last 19. So a goal-scoring streak on the line for Alan Willie. A Minnesota foul, the first we've had of this period, as Quinn brings it across the line for San Diego. Sockers trailing by a goal. He'll feed it back to Kevin Crowe. Hermes on the wing now, left side for San Diego. Wad with that big shot when he gets some space. But he's also got to be careful not to push too far forward. He's been caught short a few times last couple of games and has learned some lessons, as young players are supposed to do. Learn from your mistakes and try not to make them again.
Randy, I tell you, if form holds true, this could be a very, very big quarter for the Sockers. Not necessarily because the Sockers have enjoyed great third quarters during the course of the season, but just simply because Minnesota, for some reason, has been haunted by the third quarter blues. They have been outscored 62-38. That by far their worst quarter of any quarter in the game, and I don't know why, but it just happens that way. So the Sockers have the opportunity, at least early on here, with some scoring opportunities to get it past Lettieri and get back in this game.
San Diego in the third quarter has outscored opponents 57-38. Not nearly a margin the other way, as Minnesota have been outscored by their opponents. Here's a steal for Quinn. And you know, the way the Sockers came out in the beginning of this third period, Chuck, if they had a little luck, they could have the lead in this game. Etherington to Alan Willie. Who's marking him? Nobody. But Toth makes the save as Willie was left all alone. Hermes gets it back for Perez now, and that was his man, Alan Willie. And Wadd takes a pass from Perez, plays it back for Hugo. A nice chance. And Tino with the save. Rebound comes over to Stan Cummins. Perez going into the corner for it. Byrne will bring it out. Still 3-2 Strikers. We're in the third period, live from the Met Center. A rainy day in Minnesota. Sockers were unable to practice today, not because of the rain, because of course this is indoors, but because the Hockey North Stars were practicing. Wilrich accepting the pass from V, but it rolled past him. Lettieri clears it back to midfield as the Sockers had an excellent chance there. And now Loda Vegas for Minnesota. And the Sockers have dominated this third period. We're 6 minutes into it. Here's Loda Vegas. With Yusian, Koutsoukas gives it away to Wilrich. Back for V. Sockers obviously missed the threat of Bronco Segota tonight. But they've certainly got enough firepower with Perez, Coker, V, Wilrich all playing very well to make up for Segota's absence. Here's Yusian, marked in midfield by Ladouceur. Trying to weave his way out of trouble. Instead knocks it to Fogarty. Ken Fogarty stopping to get away from Julie V, playing it back for Koutsoukas. Now ahead for Yusian with his back to the goal and Wilrich marking it. Plays it back for Thompson. Now to Koutsoukas. Side of the goal for Goossens. Shot blocked, and Clavillo has it. He'll play it up the boards. Trying to get away from Tasso Koutsoukas. Clavillo tangled up, gets it through for Ladouceur. Off the foot of Loda Vegas to Julie V on the wing. Good bounce, San Diego. Through for Ladouceur. That was a nice ball by Julie. Jacques just wasn't there. And Ladouceur fouled by Loda Vegas. And that's the second Minnesota team foul. V will bring it back from the restart. Good field position for a free kick. Julie to Katakalitis. He miskicked that one badly. And it's played back for Lettieri. Trying to get it out of trouble. Nice ball for Yusian. One-on-one with Wilrich. They bump. Yusian is fouled, according to the officials. Wilrich, the culprit. First foul against San Diego. Here's Koutsoukas. Shot on goal. That one stopped by Toth, and then he covers on the rebound. And Yusian a dangerous figure down at the other end. Here's Crow as the Sockers try and get back in this. They trail 3-2. Kevin gives it away to Stan Cummins. Up from behind comes Quinn, trying to take it away from Byrne. He'll work it loose to Loda Vegas. Nice move past Katakalitis. Loda Vegas can play. Up for Cummins. And he'll send it opposite wing for David Byrne. Strikers try and set it up now. Byrne instead tries to shoot. Blocked by Crow. Cummins on the ball. And he'll play it back to Etherington. 7:40 left in the third period. 3-2 Minnesota.
You say that Loda Vegas can play, and he really can, but they've got a lot of guys who can really play this game, and you kind of wonder why they're just 22-20 this year.
They're playing in a tough division. I think that has something to do with it. Here's Thompson to Willie. Knocked that one wide. Here's Byrne back out for Etherington. In for Willie. Tough job to control that, and it was Namdar coming in to knock it away. And now the Strikers putting on the pressure in the middle part of the period after the Sockers dominated early. Neither team has scored here in the third. Here's Namdar clearing it back for Zoltan Toth. Quinn sends it across for Cha-Cha Namdar. Up for Quinn. He'll shoot it just through the crease. Crow chasing after it. Back to Goossens now as the Strikers counterattack. Goossens, the right foot shot. You know he's going to shoot right foot. Hermes runs into the Striker player Cummins. It's out of play for kick in San Diego, and we get an official's timeout on the field. 6:32 left here in the third period on the TV 69 scoreboard. Sockers still trail by a goal.
Ron Newman, your old golf pro here.
Back to Leo and over for Wad Hermes. Wad's got some room. He'll play it through the box. Dana will try and run onto this. Runs into Usean instead. Ball comes loose to Ken Fogarty. Dealing with Kokoro on the wall. He plays it back for Lettieri. He'll lob it up for Goossens. Pavia goes to the boards with Goossens. Minnesota keeps possession. Here's Koutsoukis. Over to Usean. Back for Lodovegas. Coker saw that one coming. He'll bump it off the wall, and Hermes clears it back for Zoltan Toe. This time the outlet pass to Wilrich. He'll chest it down. Fogarty marking Gene. No foul given. Here comes Usean. 3-on-2 with Willie and Lodovegas. Usean shooting. Crow with the block. And again cleared back to Toth. And Kevin Crow doing a good job there twice on Usean. And both these goalkeepers hanging in tough here in the third. Here's Quinn. Nice heel pass. Collier's shot. On the rebound, he'll score. Gary Collier ties it. Number 3 makes it 3-3, and that's his third goal.
Gary Collier, just give him a lot of credit. He just did not give up after he knocked that ball right into the boards. And it took a nice bounce out, but Gary there and still shows the presence of mind to be able to come out and get it. And a mistake by Lettieri. Really, he had a catchable ball and gave up on it. And Collier getting second life, able to drill it home.
He put that through Lettieri's legs down low. Watch it again as it comes off Tino's hands. Gary just follows after it. Watch, just as Lettieri goes down. No, it went over the leg. I'm sorry, it didn't go through. From the other angle, it looked like it went through. Collier gets his third of the year. It ties this game. Now a foul against Quinn along the boards. This is San Diego's second team foul. Minnesota also with 2 fouls. That'll likely go unassisted for Collier because his initial shot was touched by Tino Lettieri. But it ties the game. Here's Etherington. To Byrne. Here's Etherington. Now they give an assist to Quinn on the play. A very liberal scorekeeper here in Minnesota.
I know Quinn will take the assist. Very interesting call.
Here's Perez with a chance in front, but Lettieri will cover. As David Byrne got into a little trouble clearing it back to his goalkeeper. He'll get it back to midfield. Runs into Quinn. Lays it over to Thompson. Quinn now with 48 points moves out of a 3-way tie for 20th in league scoring. Here's a shot that got behind Zoli by Stan Cummins. Thompson on the rebound. Into the box for Cummins again, and this time Toth's got it out of a traffic jam. Sends it to midfield for Perez. Etherington steals it. Back down to Usean. 3:56 left in the third period. They're tied at 3. This is Tasso Koutsoukis with 2 of the 3 Minnesota goals tonight. Thompson playing it in for Usean, and he'll knock it wide. And that's just the way Usean wants him. Like Julie V in front of that net, posted up and then makes the big turn.
He is a man of many, many moves, very long-legged also, and that time the Soccer is lucky to come able to come away with nothing that time.
Shot cleared back to Lettieri after Goossens blocks it. This is Lodovegas. Lodovegas born in Canada, Turner Valley, Alberta, which is not far from where he played for the Edmonton Drillers in the old NASL Indoor and won a championship with them. And then when that franchise folded, landed a job here in Minnesota. At that time with Fort Lauderdale. And it's been a very happy relationship between the Strikers and Lodovegas, their finest defender. This is Fogarty, another good one. Ahead for Byrne. Byrne will go to midfield to Stan Cummins. Cummins with Willie at his right. Byrne makes a run to the goal. They play it to Lodovegas. Cummins, he'll go high. The bicycle kick on the rebound goes wide. Willie ran into Toth. Back the other way comes Gene Wilrich. Wilrich with Ladouceur. Tries to go around Stan Cummins. Unsuccessfully. Long ball played in for Alan Willie. Gets the bounce, but Namdar alertly flicks it back with a header to Zoltan Toe. And Namdar, whose work goes uncredited sometimes, with a nice play there, and he'll do it defensively on the power play or at even strength, and has also contributed with his share of offense this year. Cha-Cha with 17 points on 7 goals, and actually make that 18 points on 7 goals and 11 assists. Here's Quinn in for Katakalitis, and he tried to send that onto the wall for Coker coming in, but played it right at goal. Here's V, the last man back on defense, knocks it away from Byrne. Crowell on the wall trying to get it from Lodovegas. We get the foul, San Diego.
I tell you, we get the whistle, Randy, but the referees are really letting them play tonight. There's been a lot of contact over in the boards, a lot of bodies flying, but still very, very few penalties.
It's about time they let them play. Here's Goossens. And Hermes marking him, knocks it away. Goossens gets it back and drives it wide. On the rebound, here's Etherington. Playing a high ball in for Goossens. Back in front for Usian. He'll turn it around, and that's blocked. Koutsoukas going around Julie V. We get a foul that time. And that's one that you probably have to call as you take another look.
Julie will get both legs, I believe, or actually the right one. He trips Koutsoukas going down, and Julie pleading his case, but he was standing there pretty naked, and a good call, I think, by DiPolito.
There's a lot of referees call that 2 minutes. Here's a free kick. Into the box and wide again. Quinn with it. Works it out to V. Julie trying to get it out of trouble. Plays it to midfield. Strikers bring it right back in. Now Goossens after it with a minute to go here in the 3rd period. Shot blocked. He'll get the rebound, and again Hermes with a block in front. Strikers putting on some pressure here as we tick down to the end of the 3rd period. Etherington playing it in for Usian off his head. Hermes trying to work it out. Strikers keep the pressure on. Etherington to the near boards for Jan Goossens. Pass this time for Usian, knocked down again by Hermes. Here's Quinn. Crow up the wing for Julie V. And a foul, Minnesota this time, as V is brought down by Etherington. I heard a comment the other day about referee Brian Hall that he's well thought of in the MISL by officials because he likes, or he knows when to, or he's not afraid to blow the whistle. And I thought, what a ridiculous way to grade a referee for not being afraid to blow the whistle. There's too many whistles in this league.
I agree. Way too many. Let him play for a while.
I'm not a particular fan of Brian Hall's myself either. No personal offense. I just don't like the way he calls some games. There's Quinn in front for Coker over his head to the near boards.
A red card for that one.
Yeah. Well, I'll get thrown out of the next home game.
That's right.
Another one of the ridiculous rules. As the time ticks down to end the 3rd period, we have a ball game here, folks. 3-3 on our McDonald's scoreboard here on TV 69 as the Sockers try and beat Minnesota to end this season for the first time. And we'll be back with the exciting 4th quarter after this.
If you just ask for a light beer,
You like
streak. And he's had some chances here tonight, but some good defense and some fine goalkeeping by Zoltan Toth has been the difference. Here's Wilrich for San Diego. He'll play it up for Perez. Hugo ran past it. Here's Collier. Back for Dana. Now over to Gene Wilrich. He'll take a chance, and that one didn't miss by much. Comes off the wall. Back down to Stan Cummins. He'll clear it back for Lodovegas. This is Wilrich as the Sockers recover again between the red lines. Gene with men marking him from behind. Willie will get a loose ball off Fogarty. Comes to midfield and off to David Byrne. Now to midfield for Cummins. On the run down the wing, Clavillo is there. That's good news for San Diego as he'll work it to Namdar. Now Cha-Cha with a bad pass as Clavillo was going up the right side. Cha-Cha passed into the middle. A little miscommunication. Strikers get it right back. They are changing on the run. Lodovegas walking with the ball to midfield, waiting for the line change. Now he'll lob it in for Usian. He'll drop it back. Shot there by Goossens. Comes back out. Perez trying to recover for San Diego. Goossens keeps it alive. Back to the point for Lodovegas. Goossens and Lodovegas, by the way, both played at Edmonton in the NASL. Nice move past Perez. Then the shot. And then the goal. And that was all Dwight Lodovegas, just making a great move on Perez. And that makes it 4-3 Minnesota.
I don't know if they're going to give the goal to Lodovegas or if they're going to give it on the tip into Usian. Ball bounces behind Zoli on the boards, and then there's Usian there to tip it in.
I think that it was in all by itself without Usian's tip in. This is from the higher shot, and you'll see it.
Boy, he has got a tough left foot. The ball bouncing behind.
I know it hit Usian out there. I never thought it hit him. I thought it hit Crow and went in.
Tipped off Thompson, and then all of a sudden he's there just to make sure. So I guess Usian gets the goal.
Goal number 26 of the year for Thompson Usian from Lodovegas. Sockers have never led in this game. It's now 4-3 Minnesota. Here's Julie V into the corner for Coker, and he just misses at the edge of the crease. Katakalitis keeping it alive. Quinn will take a shot. This is blocked by Greg Thompson. Quinn in the corner with Etherington. Trying to work it out for Coker, and it takes a bad bounce to Greg Thompson. Coker from behind knocks it off his foot, and it'll come all the way back to toe. 1:31. Time of the goal by Usian. Lodovegas with the assist. 4-3 Minnesota. Strikers have not had a penalty tonight. Sockers have had one, and it cost them a power play goal.
Usian now has become the leading scorer this season for the Strikers, 1 point ahead of Alan Willie.
Here's Katsuka's Crow, last man back, off the wall, and it'll come back to Zoli from Brian Quinn. Here's Crow back the other way now. Coker and V burst downfield. So does Katakalitis. Crow to V, across for Coker. Where was Addy? Behind the play. Here's Katakalitis on the rebound, trying to chip it up for Julie. Drops back down to Kevin, and he'll send it to midfield for Quinn. Rarely did the Sockers miss a chance like that one. V played it right through the crease for Coker. Addy was about another yard back of the ball, however. Crow playing it in. This one off an arm. And they will give that foul. First of our fourth period. And Sockers get it back on a free kick. Quinn to Crow. Back through the middle to Julie. In lots of traffic. And he'll slide it back out. Hermes, good job. Didn't go all the way back, yet didn't commit himself forward, and had a chance for the steal, made it. V in for Coker. Lots of traffic around Addy. Back to the right point for Quinn. Clavio will come in from the point. Up for Coker. Back for Julie. In for Addy. Tries to chip Lettieri and sends it over the goal. Good idea by Addy. Tough ball to handle, though.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. Addy, that's basically the only thing he could do was try to chip it over. But when you're so close in like that, it's really tough. You have really got to have a great touch. You just try to chip it just over the goalkeeper's head and let it take a lucky bounce into the net. This time he had the right idea, but a little too much on it.
11:43 left in the fourth period now as Minnesota gets set for the goal kick. There's Lettieri. They don't let him keep his parrot in the goal anymore. It's on the bench. And he's somewhat less controversial because of that. He used to flaunt the parrot. But still rather controversial, being the league's leading penalty man. There's a lot of talk about a trade here a week ago that would have involved Lettieri. In fact, he was walking around the press box one night when he had been serving his 30th penalty minute suspension, saying that I'm out of here. They're going to trade me. And the deal was Lettieri would go to Tacoma, and Chicago would send their goalkeeper Neguera here to Minnesota, and the Sting would have got Ralph Black from the Stars plus cash. It never happened. That was one of the trades. Another had Neguera and Jerry Gray coming here to Minnesota for Tino Lettieri. Here's Gusick. Shot. Toth bats it down. Wilrich going into the corner trying to get the rebound, and he's got it. They'll bring it out the left side. Gene Wilrich, Sockers captain this year, to the line. Pass for Hugo Perez. Tough ball to handle. It'll come off the wall back out to Cummins. And Wilrich will get called for the foul. So a Minnesota free kick back in the midfield area. You know, talking about these suspensions for penalty minutes, I think it's ridiculous. It takes players like Segota out of the game tonight. Here's a player who would have attracted fans here tonight, former member of this striker franchise. How many of his minutes of penalties were for dissent, etc.? I think the accumulated time penalty rule is ridiculous. As I just mentioned, it takes players out of the game. I think a far better idea, and we talked about this all day, Chuck, is what the NBA does, and just foul players out. And through some research we did, the number seems to be 5, as they do in college basketball. If a player gets 5 fouls in a game, he's out of that game. And don't punish franchises like this Minnesota one. Here's Willie with a shot. Toth makes the save. Clavillo trying to head it out of trouble. Koutsoukis will keep it alive. You really punish the strikers by taking Segota out of this game because they can't use him as a drawing card.
You're absolutely right. The name of the game is to put people in seats, get the paying customers, and I've got a feeling that a couple of people just decided probably maybe not to show up tonight because Segota wasn't here. I can't imagine that they do it in the NBA where they'd have a Magic Johnson sit out a game against the Boston Celtics because he reached 20 fouls during the course of a period of time. It's just a silly rule, and they've got to do something, especially when they're struggling to put people in seats in various markets around the country.
It is outdated, to say the least. I think they should use the cards more, and penalties that are serious should be, as they are now, include a yellow card for seriousness, and then accumulated yellow cards should result in suspensions. Perez is bumped in the corner by Fogarty. Sockers want a penalty there. They get the foul instead. Here's Quinn on the restart. Trying to set it up for Collier, but Gary's not going to make that run. He's last man back. Byrne will get it back for the Strikers. So now we've spoken our piece about accumulated time penalties. It's a stinky rule. It takes stars like Lettieri, Segota, Stamenkovic, others out of the games, and they just shouldn't have it. It's dumb.
Hugo Perez Saturday night at home.
Right. Imagine if they did that in the NHL. Those guys would miss the whole season.
That's for sure, yes.
Here's Yusian. We are in the fourth period, 8:38 left. 4-3 Minnesota leads. Cummins. Up to Jan Goossens. He'll send it back up for Stan Cummins, marking him as Perez. Sockers trailing by a goal, and now they give a foul against San Diego. It's against Perez. That's the second team foul for the Sockers. Strikers with 2 as well. San Diego goals tonight by Collier, Perez, and V. Vegas sends it back in for Yusian. Oh, so dangerous. This time he sends it in the seats for goal kick. Well, there'll be music in the air when TV 69 brings you a whole week of MGM classics like Rhapsody in Blue, Showboat, Two Sisters from Boston, Till the Clouds Roll By with Judy Garland, and Naughty But Nice with Ronald Reagan.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. It's a week of great music and some of the great MGM stars starting next Monday at 8 right here on KTTY TV 69.
And you've heard of the Two Sisters from Boston, you were telling me.
I've never been to Boston, actually. Looking forward to a trip there someday. This is Zoltan Toth. Long pass for Addy. Coker gets the bounce. In for Nandar. Cha-Cha trying to control it. Couldn't. And it'll come back for Tino Lettieri. That was a great throw by Zoli Toth. Vegas now in some trouble in his own zone. Trying to avoid making a big mistake at this crucial point of the game. Works it out to Goossens. Nandar coming in from behind. Goossens passes off to Stan Cummins. Cummins cuts across in front, and this one drifts through wide. That's a dangerous ball. Ledusser brings it back out for San Diego. To midfield, and Vegas. Look at him go down and just kick that leg out and drive the ball back into the penalty area. Tino picks it up illegally, and they will bring it to the top of the penalty area for a free kick. San Diego. Lettieri in that situation was not allowed to pick up the ball because the area from which it came. On the free kick, which was not executed that well, Ledusser with the shot that's blocked. Wilrich making the turn at the line, gets away from Yusian. In front for V. Ledusser, Julie, he and both there. Wilrich's shot, and that'll go off Koutsoukis out of play for kick in.
Boy, Minnesota just playing all phases of the game very well right now. They are hungry for a win. They're desperate for a win right now. They really kind of see it. They're working much harder than the Sockers.
And there's Wilrich coming off the field as we get the officials' timeout. And we will pause with 7:05 left in the third period, and the Sockers trailing by 1 here on TV 69. Clavillo and Katakalitis with 7:05 left. Sockers trail 4-3. And a good play by Alan Willie. Wilrich gets a nice bounce. Tries to send it back into the corner and does. And then Fogarty blocks the pass off the wall by Gene. Willie back now at his own line. Wilrich trying to force the play. Fogarty in some trouble, but he gets it back to Lettieri. Fouls not a factor. 2 each right now. This is Etherington back for Tino Lettieri. Strikers have to be looking to kill the clock here as much as they can. They know that the Sockers will go with the extra attacker at some point here if they continue to trail.
Well, they like to use up some of the clock, but I don't think they want to get too passive here because they realize that it's a very tenuous lead they have right now. They just can't be content to sit on it and try to hold this lead. I think they have to move forward a little bit at some point in time.
The prior 2 wins by the Strikers over the Sockers this year, both by a goal each. Here's Hermes out of midfield. Nice ball into the corner for Coker. Punches it off the woodwork. Back to Julie. He'll go left, right, and then they take it off his foot. Quinn will steal it away from Alan Willie. And B with a nice chance there. Here's Quinn. 5:50 left. Ahead for Coker. Back for Kevin Crow. Now to Hermes. Nice one-touch pass to V. Watt had an idea heading downfield on the wing, but it'll come back the other way. Coker playing it to Crow. Back over to Perez. Hermes, rather. Watt. Over to Crow. Coker posted up in the box. This is Quinn. In for V. Julie trying to get it turned around. Couldn't get control, and then he comes in from behind and commits the foul. Third foul against the Sox. 5:20 left. And the free kick for Minnesota. Stay tuned for our post-game show. We'll go down onto the field, talk to one of tonight's stars. This is Etherington playing it back for Tino Lettieri. Now Motivegas, who's been so dangerous tonight. Giveaway. Hermes back up for Coker. To Crow down the right side. Tino out of the goal. And Kevin playing it way out. Hermes traps it down, goes into the corner. Lettieri back there now and plays it through the box. And if Crow would have been able to put a little lighter touch on that pass back through, who knows? Now here's Motivegas again up the wing for Jan Goossens. 4:43 left. Sockers assistant coach Johan Arnio has joined us here in the 4th period. And Johan, you've got yourselves a tough ball game here against Minnesota again.
Right, Minnesota has played very well, Randy. They play a little bit like us. They keep the ball around, and when they get approached the goal, they try to do something quick and explosive. They've done it well today.
Here's Namdar with Ladouceur. Quinn making a run. The pass to Brian Quinn. Back through the middle for Hermes. Not a good ball by Quinn, but he'll get another chance. Then he throws an elbow up at Goossens. No foul on the play. Here's Ladouceur. In front. That was Namdar. Posted up. Couldn't get it. Here's Cummins. Clavillo back on defense. They bump it up for Usean. He'll try and use the wall. Now he goes to the corner. What do we got? Foul, Minnesota. Johan, how much time left before Ron goes with the extra attacker? When will he do it?
A couple of minutes. It should be about the time where we want to get that equalizer and then get it into overtime.
3:50 left right now. 4-3 Minnesota. Dana out of the back. Up for Collier, who has 1 goal tonight. Here's Wilrich. He's forced to the near boards by Koutsoukis. And a foul Wilrich. And that looked like foul Minnesota with Koutsoukis grabbing onto Gene, and Wilrich can't believe it.
These are judgment calls, of course, Randy.
4 fouls against the Sockers. Here's Goossens up for Burns. Sockers can't allow another goal here. Collier. Now Dana comes in a double-team Byrne. Still with the ball. Good job shielding it away from Collier. And now he'll poke it out to midfield. 3:15 left. Koutsoukis in for David Byrne. He's got Alan Willie with him. Byrne sends it over to Greg Thompson. Thompson in for Willie. Give and go. Back to Thompson. Toth with the save. Willie looking for the rebound in front. And it's in. And that one went in off Kevin Crow, and you had to be aware of Alan Willie.
This is a situation, Randy, when we must win the ball. We can't allow balls to bounce like that in front of the net. Anything can happen. It's got to be won, kicked out.
And Alan Willie, who had gone all game long without a goal, extends his streak to 10 games in a row with a goal, putting it in off Kevin Crow. And that comes with 2:55 left, and Ron Newman's going to pull the goalie for the extra attacker right now. And this almost worked to the Sockers' benefit in Wichita last time we were on TV 69 when you got behind by 2 like this, but came right back with an extra attacker goal, Johan.
Right. Well, we've got to do it now. It's we've got no choice. We could get into a situation where we cannot pull the keeper, and then we're in real trouble. So we've got to use the time we've got and try and catch up with 2 goals.
Brian Quinn is the extra attacker. Sockers trail 5-3. There is 2:54 left. Quinn tells everybody, get downfield. Here's Hermes. Back for Quinn. And now up for Gene Wilrich. They'll make a move to get away from David Byrne. Byrne, a tireless runner. Knocks it off Quinn's foot. Now to Wilrich. They've got to get a shot. Good steal by Byrne. And now he'll kick it out of play. 2:36 left. The goal for Alan Willie, his 29th of the year. There you see Quinn, and there's Willie. He's the hero right now with what is an insurance goal, but it was a very big one, coming late in the game. So there's the kick in. Quinn to Wilrich. Over to Julie V. Back for Wilrich. Hermes, Coker, Perez all in front of the net. Quinn a shot, and it goes through just wide. Feed back to the point for Wilrich. 2:20 left. Gene's going to take a chance. This one's off the glass. Drops back down. He's after the rebound. An open net for the Strikers, and they will score. Mike Jeffries gets the goal into the empty net, and that'll do it. 6-3 now with 2:09 left, and Ron Newman's going to keep Brian Quinn out there. I guess you might as well practice the 6th attacker. You have a chance here now to at least work on it. Kind of tough to get 3 goals back in this situation.
That's exactly right. But Strikers doing it very well, Randy, because they've concentrated back there, made it very difficult for us, forced us to take some shots from the outside, and of course, then you can lose the ball and you're vulnerable.
Quinn with a shot. That went into the seats for another goal kick. 4,419 the attendance here this evening. Not a good crowd by anyone's standards. Trouble attracting people here in midweek, it would seem. They've been averaging around 6,000-7,000 throughout the year. Might help them to make the playoffs, and this win will certainly enhance Minnesota's chances. In fact, it will put them into a virtual 3-way tie for first. Here's Alan Willie with an open net, and he'll score. And I think it's time to stop practicing. Better get Zoli back in that goal because there's no use getting embarrassed.
Well, another thing, Randy, is that when you've got to catch up, and you've got to catch up, and you've really got no choice. You've got to try and get a goal back with a spare man, and it makes it very difficult.
Well, I, at this point, don't understand what benefit it is to keep the 6th attacker. I really don't with the score 7-3. It seems like the Strikers have figured out a pretty good way of beating the Sockers at this, but they'll continue nonetheless. Perez to Quinn. Back over to Wilrich. Gene with a chance, and Hermes miskicks it. Second time around, he scores. So, there you go. They do get one back to make it 7-4 as Hermes scores.
The difficulty has been, Randy, is that they concentrate themselves. They shell themselves very well in the back, the Strikers do. And then we have had to take some shots from the outside. Shots from the outside can either be deflected in. On this one, we managed to work it in. You pick up a deflection. You're hoping that with the spare man, you can get the ball back. If you don't, you pay for it.
7-4 now after the score by Hermes, Wad's 8th goal of the year. And they'll give an assist to Zoltan Toth on that one. Oh, how can they? Number 1 can't be an assist to number 1. Well, he wasn't out there. He'd have to throw that one in from the bench. We'll check the assist on that. Nonetheless, the goal by Hermes. Here's Quinn with 1:05 left. Sockers trail 7-4. And Minnesota will sweep this season series 3 games to none. Here's Bruce Miller back to midfield. Welrich will steal this with 1 minute to go. Up the wing for Hugo Perez. He'll shoot it. V on the rebound, looking far post for Hermes. Watt had run past it, banks it off the glass, and Tino goes up to knock it free. Here's Lodovegas pushing off Quinn in midfield, and they give the foul against Minnesota. Wilrich gets the assist on the goal by Hermes. And a near goal again there for Minnesota. 34 seconds left. Stay with us for the post-game show. We'll go down onto the field. Chuck Fritch is there. Hermes, nice move to Hugo Perez. Back through for Wad. Tries to feed V in the corner. Bruce Miller there, and he'll clear it downfield. And that should just about do it. Quinn back in his own end. The Sockers do get an extra attacker goal, but they gave up a couple of empty netters. And clock ticks down. The game all over as the Strikers have defeated the Sockers 7-4.
Turning point of the game, Randy, is that Willie's goal. That really turned the game around for us there.
Indeed it did, and you had to watch out for Willie. He'd gone all game long without one, but came up with the 5-3 goal that really changed the outcome of this one. Thank you, Johan Arnio, for being with us. Again, the final on our McDonald's scoreboard. The Strikers 7 and the San Diego Sockers 4 as Minnesota sweeps the season series 3 in a row. And we'll be back with our post-game show from the Met Center after this.
Ron Newman, you're all...
San Diego Sockers 7-4, sweeping the season series 3 in a row. Minnesota beat San Diego twice at the Sports Arena, and this in the final meeting of the regular season between the two teams. Who knows? Maybe they will meet in the finals. That's the only way they'll play again this year. Let's go down to field level now. Our Chuck Fritch standing by with Sockers defender Gary Collier. Chuck.
All right. Okay, Randy, thank you very much. Randy just mentioned upstairs, which you did not hear, Gary. He talked about possible championship final series between the Sockers and the Minnesota Strikers. I would guess a fairly accurate assessment. They play you tough, don't they?
Well, they're 3-0 against us this year, and I don't know what it is. They seem to get a couple of goals up and then they can play their game, you know, instead of us getting a couple of goals up and playing our game. They got a couple of goals up early on, and we had to go out instead of being able to drop back. And you know, we did eventually get back to 2 each and finally 3 each. But they're a tough team. They keep possession well and they keep moving, and it makes it awfully tough for us at the back, you know, to stay with their men.
It looked as if the chances that you got tonight, you really had to work hard for. They just don't give you a whole lot to work with, do they?
Not really, no. They're a good defensive side, you know. They're disciplined, and you know, they all get back behind the ball fairly fast. I think we suffered a little bit for not being able to train this morning. There was a hockey game here last night, and we couldn't get to practice this morning, which is when you're stuck in a hotel for a couple of days, you know, you tend to sort of get a little bit lethargic, and I think that hurt us a little bit, but no excuses. You know, they played us tough, and you know, I think they deserve to win the game, really.
Talk a little bit about your goal, which tied it up 3-3 at that time. I thought a great second effort on your part.
Well, Quinny played me a great ball at a back heel, you know, onto my, I guess, both my feet are pretty weak when it comes to shooting, but, you know, I hit it with my left, you know, just hope for the best, and fortunately it rebounded off the keeper and it came back, and I just closed my eyes and hit it, you know.
You were a little surprised because it looked like Tino was going to cover up, and then he just let it get away from him and back out to you. Yeah,
well, normally, you know, he's great in those situations, you know. He tends to hang on to a lot of the balls, you know, when people shoot. And even when it came back to me, you know, he usually comes out and smothers those balls, but I guess, you know, I was a bit fortunate. I just happened to hit it right and bounced over him, whatever, I don't know.
Didn't get a win tonight, but a good job nonetheless. Thanks for the visit, Gary.
Thanks, Chuck.
Defender Gary Collier. Randy, back upstairs to you.
Thank you very much, Chuck, and for being with us. We will send Gary on an Invader cruise, and thanks to Invader Cruises in San Diego for that lovely gift for Gary Collier. So Collier gets a goal, and it seemed like a big one at the time. It made it 3-3. But the Sockers unable to hang on, and Minnesota runs away with it. 7-4, the final. And we'll be back with some highlights, and we'll wrap it up here from the Met after this. A little tap right in front of Kevin Crowe, going into the back of the net. And then Alan Willie with what really turned out to be the most crucial goal of this game. This made it 5-3, forced the Sockers to go into the extra attacker situation. And that's when The Strikers really started filling the net with a couple of empty net goals. There it goes in off Kevin Crow's chest and into the back of the net. Willie keeps a goal-scoring streak alive that is now at 10 games. And obviously a much bigger win for Minnesota tonight here at the Met than a big loss for the Sockers, although the Sockers no longer can go for the best ever win record in the MISL, which they would have had to win their last 7 games to achieve. However, they are still secure in first place in the West, first place overall in the regular season, and of course home field advantage all the way through the playoffs, which they picked up on Saturday night with the win at home against Wichita. Let's look at that tight race in the Eastern Division of the MISL now. Based on the outcome of tonight's game, Minnesota still actually in 3rd spot, but just percentage points, and I mean like percentage points behind both Cleveland and Baltimore, tied for first place. Dallas just a half game back, then Pittsburgh and Chicago, and you see that quite easily any one of those 6 teams could finish first or finish last. It is really that close. Minnesota now with 5 games remaining to try and stay in the playoff hunt, but this win over San Diego tonight, obviously a big confidence builder, and it certainly enhances their chances of not only making the playoffs but finishing in the top 2, which would give them some sort of advantage in the playoffs for home field. Looking at the Western standings, they, of course, are unchanged from the standpoint that the Sockers still have the big lead, 7.5 on Wichita. There's the good race, St. Louis and Tacoma. Who will finish 4th? Whoever does plays the Sockers in the first round, and there's a battle between those 2 teams just to see who won't have to face the Sockers in the first round. And I think the fact that San Diego plays Tacoma twice is to their disadvantage, and indeed it may be the Sockers against Steve Jungle in the first round of the playoffs coming up in just a couple of weeks. Chuck Fritch back upstairs with us. Chuck, a disappointing loss for the Sockers, because I know Ron Newman wanted to beat Minnesota once this year, but certainly not the end of the world for the Sockers, and they go back home now for a game against Baltimore on Saturday with Bronco Segota, without Perez, but still a good situation for San Diego overall.
No doubt about it. They're just gearing up basically for the playoffs right now. We have talked about that, Randy. I think any team that wants to beat the San Diego Sockers should write to the Minnesota Strikers, buy tapes of what they have done to the Sockers in the 3 games they have played this year, because what they have done basically is not try to do too much, play within themselves, play with a lot of skill, stay with them through 3 quarters, and then shoot the works in that last quarter.
Chuck, it's been fun working with you this year, your first season on our telecast. This, of course, is the final of our 10 regular season telecasts here on TV 69. We want to stress that we will be back in the playoffs, but of course, with the situation being what it is right now, we don't know who will play or when. Soccer's first 2 home playoff dates are April 10th and 12th. After that, it's kind of up in the air, but we will be back for the playoffs and look forward to that.
Certainly do. I was just talking to Ray Hudson, the captain for the Strikers, who did not play tonight, was doing TV on the other side. He said, we'll see you in the championship round. I said, maybe.
It just may happen. Want to thank our director who's been with us all season, Tom Rand. He, of course, will be back with us for the playoffs. All the crew at TV 69 for all their help this season. And all the crew here in Minnesota for their help on our telecast tonight from the Met Center. Again, the final. The Sockers lose it tonight here, the 3rd in a row to the Strikers this year. 7-4 for Minnesota. And for Chuck Fritch, I'm Rand.